Kolkata's historic British-era jute mills are sprawling industrial compounds, and hidden behind their weathered gates are decades of dark, forgotten history. These mills were massive ecosystems. The most coveted perk for workers was the housing, spacious, well-built government quarters provided right on the compound. Living there meant navigating a rigid corporate bureaucracy. When an employee earned a promotion and transferred to a new mill, company rules dictated they had to select a new housing quarter and vacate their old one within a strict 30-day window. That countdown started for Ritwik's father upon reaching a senior position. With limited options, he rejected quarters with bad drainage or too many stairs. He eventually settled on a mid-senior property that had inexplicably sat vacant for 23 years. It was the unyielding corporate timeline, not an interest in the paranormal, that forced this family to move into a dormant, uninvestigated crime scene. The abandoned property was severely dilapidated. With time running out, the family relied on a quick, superficial paint job to mask 2 decades of neglect. This diagram shows the layout of their new house, crucial to understanding what happened next. The isolated main entrance sits atop 6 exterior stairs. Further down, a secondary side entrance sits directly across from an adjacent unit, right on a neighbor's doorstep. On moving day, Ritwik's mother insisted on following strict spiritual Vastu principles. She instructed her son to hold their religious idols in his hands and be the very first person to cross the main threshold. This ritual, meant to claim the space for the family, resulted in Ritwik being the first to reclaim the house after 23 years of silence. To anything already lingering inside, this single act of entry established his presence above all others. The catalyst for the events that followed was tied directly to the father's new rank. He was assigned corporate vigilance duty, which required him to leave the house in the middle of the night to raid the factory floor for rule breakers. To avoid waking his sleeping family during these late shifts, he devised a quiet exit strategy. He would leave through the main door, lock it from the outside, and plan to return later through that secondary side entrance. During his first week of night shifts, the father walked up to the main front gate, pulled the latch back, and opened the door to leave at exactly 2 a.m. The manifestation in the house was immediate. Late that same night, Ritwik walked into the hallway and encountered his mother sliding unnaturally fast across the floor, flashing a grotesque, wide, toothy smile. When he asked her about it the next morning, she completely denied ever leaving her bed. Then the physical toll began. Ritwik broke out in an aggressive, rapidly spreading fungal infection across his torso and thighs. The rashes bled constantly, completely baffled their doctors, and resisted all medication. The onset of this bleeding infection mirrored the start of the father's night shifts. A pattern was emerging, though the family was still weeks away from understanding the specific bridge between the two. The attack soon escalated into Ritwik's sleep. He fell into a paralyzing nightmare, where he hallucinated a woman completely engulfed in flames outside his bedroom window, violently twisting his limbs. When Ritwik woke up, the physical pain from the twisted joints in his dream lingered in his real body. Terrified, the family called Ritwik's grandmother, a woman known in Uttar Pradesh for her deep spiritual sensitivities, and begged her to travel to Kolkata. The grandmother's reaction to the house was visceral. The moment she stepped through the door, she burst into tears, instantly sensing a massive residual trauma baked deep into the architecture itself. She immediately staged an intervention. Seating the family in a tight circle on the floor, she conducted a specific spiritual ritual aimed at opening a direct line of communication with the unseen entity. Rather than attempting to cast a spirit out, she sat in the center of the room and waited for answers. She was seeking a history that the jute mill's records had omitted for over 2 decades. The entity finally answered her, revealing a history from 23 years prior. Back then, another mid-senior employee lived in this exact quarter, and he also worked the late-night shifts. This diagram highlights exactly how the betrayal unfolded. One night, the husband returned home early and caught his wife having an affair with the neighbor who lived directly across that tight side entrance. A massive brawl erupted. In a blind rage, the husband dragged his wife into the street, doused her entirely in kerosene, set her on fire, and retreated inside, locking the door. Focusing on the diagram's front entrance, we trace her gruesome final path. Burning alive, she climbed those 6 exterior stairs, pounding on the locked gate for help before dying on the doorstep. Because of the sheer violence of that moment, the woman's spirit became trapped in a permanent time loop. Every single night, for decades, she was doomed to repeat her final action, knocking on that main gate at exactly 2 a.m. The house had sat empty for 23 years, meaning the door always remained closed to her. But when Ritwik's father opened that latch to leave for work at exactly 2 a.m., he broke the loop. He let her inside, where she immediately targeted Ritwik, the first person she had encountered in that house since her death. The grandmother ordered the family to pack their belongings and leave the property immediately. These massive housing compounds are built to withstand time, acting as a physical vessel for a murder that never truly ended.